Hello all my inquisitive highway-seeking friends. Did you know that there are approximately 70 primary interstate highways in the U.S.? Governor Earl Warren helped develop California's highway system. It later became somewhat of the prototype of America's interstate network.
President Eisenhower gave birth to the ideal of an interstate system. He wanted a way to skip town in case the U.S. ever got nuked by an atomic bomb. Defense was the main reason behind the expressway at first.
Now, let's check out the real reason you guys came, and that's to explore these rebellious freeways of the United States. Before we go any further, hit that like button, subscribe, or feel free to comment. Now, let's roll! First on our list is Cheyenne, Wyoming. A nice little place known as the nation's railroad and rodeo capital. Yeehaw!
If you ever had a chance to ride on Interstate 180, you might have noticed something just a little bit strange. At about a mile long with 4 stoplights, I-180 looks nothing like a freeway. It doesn't quite seem like an interstate either. Eisenhower will probably be rolling over in his grave about this one. Just how are you supposed to escape an atomic bomb while stopping at 4 stoplights? In all fairness, Interstate 180 generally follows standard procedures in terms of signage, routing, numbering. But there's some points in the system where things just get a little weird.
Next on our list is Interstate 170 in Baltimore, Maryland, or as the locals call it, Highway to Nowhere.
Over the years, there have been plenty of arguments of where this interstate should go.
This road was intended at first to hook up with I-70, which runs just west of Baltimore all the way to Cold Fort, Utah. But because of the community protests, the love connection never happened. This interstate was just 1.4 miles long, but it ended up running through multiple residential neighborhoods, displacing people in the process. It was somewhat of a home wrecker.
Hennepin, Illinois, with a population of 722 people, just might be the smallest town in the country with its own interstate. So why were the residents of Hennepin so worthy of having this 10-mile stretch of interstate called 180? Well, I'm glad you asked. This interstate once led to an old steel mill during the 1960s. Steel was an important material in building defense materials, and defense is mainly why the interstate began in the first place. Due to low traffic on this road, there have been talks of downgrading it to something a little less enticing than an interstate. There are a lot of boring highways, but this one probably takes the cake. You won't find one much duller than the 37-mile stretch of I-80 in Utah. This landing strip that they call the freeway in Bonneville Salt Flats is the longest stretch of interstate in the entire country, with only one rest stop about 8 miles in, giving your eyes a break from this straightness. Now, of course, there are other long highways in the United States. One of them is Highway 46 in North Dakota, which goes for 123 miles with only a few slight turns. But what really makes this part of Interstate 80 so boring, besides its flatness and lack of exits, is that it has no trees, no curves, no anything. According to an article on Atlas Obscura, there are only 3 things to do in this area. You can get off at exit 4 and check out the land speed record attempts at Bonneville Speedway, or you can drive past mile marker 26 after driving this awful stretch of land, so you can see the Tree of Utah, a man-made art structure in the middle of nowhere. If those 2 things don't tickle your fancy, you could always get out your vehicle and appreciate the salt. One Pennsylvania highway that breaks the rules is Interstate 99. It is outright defiant when it comes to obeying the initial interstate grid. According to this map, lower numbers like Interstate 5 sit on the west coast, and higher numbers like Interstate 95 sit on the east. But not 99, it just kind of does what it wants to do. The interstate system can thank Representative Bud Shuster, who represented a district that I-99 travels through. He had his unusual designation put into law in 1995. Texas and Minnesota tend to do their own thing also. For example, Interstate 35 splits into I-35 East and I-35 West. No other interstate in the country splits off this way.
The only reason they're able to go against standard procedures is because the American Association of State Highway and officials let them. They must have really knew some connections somewhere. Others that break the rule are a bit more understandable. For example, it is not possible for Alaska, Hawaii, or Puerto Rico to have a so-called interstate due to the fact they're not near any other state. Yet, they still get the name interstate, defined by how the road is paid for with federal funds rather than where it connects. These three are an exception by law. They do not have to meet federal interstate standards, and as a result, they do not have to have signage showing that they are funded like interstate highways. As a matter of fact, much of Alaska's interstate is made of 2-lane roads. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned and subscribe for more information coming your way.